Listen to the sound of my neurons. Go. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States is a very, very bad case of winger creep. What is that? That's the sound of my neurons. Play on, neurons. America's got a bad case of winger creep. That's what I'm talking about. Winger creep, my friends. That's where the political spectrum just keeps sliding off into the morass of the right. It all just keeps creeping rightward till we end up with a, quote, Democratic president who says he has the right to assassinate each and every one of us. That, play it, brother. It's Logan's magic bass. Winger creep. Winger creep. Winger creep. Winger creep.
Hello. You are having a hallucination of George Washington, which is in no way meant to demean the character of the historic George Washington, who talked funny just like Barack Obama does. What do you want? I have wooden teeth. Hi. I am a hallucinogenic version of George Washington. I've noticed that you have a bad case of winger creep. Perry Logan tells me you have winger creep. That's where those bloody Tories get out of hand and take over the government and just drive everything into the ground. And one of the things they do is redefine the Founding Fathers. They start making us Founding Fathers sound like bloody wingnuts, like bloody Tories, if you will. And we, the Founding Fathers, are going to be kicking a lot of butts when people come to heaven. We were not wingnuts. Did you know that for the first 100 years of the Republic, corporations had to prove their value to the Republic before they were allowed to exist? So the Founding Fathers were liberals who favored regulation of corporations. Now get out of here. If we had a public health system, I wouldn't have these crappy teeth, would I? Hey, get out of here. Wake up. Wake up. You're having an hallucination. Wake up. I'm George Washington. I'm going to eat your brains. I see. You were talking to George Washington, were you? I hope you're enjoying this probe as much as I. I'm afraid I had to go especially deep. Sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. You were talking in your sleep, and I thought you might be good for a little joke or two. This is what you get for falling asleep naked in the pre-show area, though I thank you for that. And also for talking in your sleep. You were talking about George Washington and how mad he was, how mad George Washington up in heaven would be, or is, to see how there's this winger creep thing going on. This is a show. You have woken up to a show and you're naked and here you are going to have fun in a Perry Logan show called Winger Creep. And what could that be? I happen to know. And in case you're wondering, I'm the guy who does this. Someone has got to do this. And I'm the guy. Every once in a while, Perry likes to go. I think that means it's another symptom of winger creep. One of the symptoms of winger creep is that you go or hey, kidding around. Well, the conceit of George Washington being mad and talking funny and all this has to do with the fact that winger creep starts redefining the Founding Fathers. It's one of the symptoms of winger creep. George Washington would be mad because the political center here in the U.S. keeps getting pushed to the right. The definition of the political center. And Perry calls it winger creep. And it drives him nuts, winger creep. But the center, what most people feel, right? What most people want would kind of be called by definition the center, don't you think? Most people, for example, want single payer. And you hardly even know this because of the right-wing media. It won't talk about it. But even with all this redefining, you see, the people remain about where they were, mostly progressive. This is a really weird phenomenon. That's why I like to go, ah! And ah! And ah! And sometimes play the bass. Okay, but winger creep is a real thing that many people have observed around this time here. I think it's January 27th, 2011. Well, what most of us want is now defined in the media and by the government as being a left wing. If you're like alive and breathing and not a total wingnut, you've probably been accused of being a crazed communist or socialist by now. Hey, look at this. At this point, I believe the lie of the year, last year, they gave out awards, okay, for the lie of the year. Wow, in a year of lies, right? They gave out an award for lie of the year, and the lie of the year, the one that won, was the lie that Obamacare, the Democrats' version of health care reform, was a government takeover. Now, you've heard that. I'm sure you've heard that if you live in this time. Yeah, and if you weren't naked. So, the lie of the year was that what the Democrats did and Obama takes credit for was a government takeover. That is winger creep in action, you see, because any good lefty will tell you it was a kind of a Republican idea. It was literally a Republican idea. It depends on who you talk to as to where the Democrats got their idea for this health care mandate, which drives me nuts and makes me go, ah! And ah! And you are free to do so. Well, the lie of the year is what the thing that Perry's talking about is this constant redefining and pushing of the goalposts to the right. And the whole show is about the many manifestations of this. Here's one. You hear about people's phobias. Phobias become public policy. Homophobia becomes public policy. Fear of pregnant women, fear of powerful women becomes public policy. Fear of liberals and fear of government and fear of foreign countries and fear of the French and fear of, your pants and fear of your feet are in the air. This is what happens. It's one of the many things that happens when there's winger creep. And our public health suffers. There are many, many symptoms. The public health suffers under winger creep because the right, everything is defined right, and what we want gets ignored. Most of us wanted single payer. That gets ignored. This hurts the public health, bada bim, bada boom. And Democratic presidents become farther right than rightward presidents used to be. The Repubs have been getting farther to the right, and now in Obama, we've got a guy with an assassination list. Obama has an assassination list, which, to my way of thinking, is pretty winger creepified. Color! Thank goodness there's color. Hi, I'm the guy who does this. We're all doing this. Because you see, they keep redefining the center to the right, thereby calling what most of us want communists. So the right are calling us all communists, okay? I wish they'd stop that. Hey. There is a cure for winger creep. It is not, in fact, a dread disease. I was only probing you for fun. And may I say, in color, you are twice as beautiful as you were in black and white. All kidding aside, welcome to winger creep. But there's a cure for it. Let's just up front let you know. It comes mostly from our corporate media news. If you just kind of eschew the news, okay? And go get your news from real sources, eschew the corporate news, winger creep will not be a problem for you, and you won't have to do this. Or this. Or this.
Ow! I've got the winger creep. Oh, winger creep. The center is defined to the right. So what everyone wants is defined as left wing. It's going on constantly. You've got it just like issue the news. Issue the news. Issue the news. Issue the news.
I'm sorry I had to probe you so deeply. I'm sorry I had to probe you so deeply, but it appears you have come down with a terribly bad case of winger's creep. Hey, winger's creep. Don't you know what that is? Winger's creep is the process by which the definition of the political center keeps getting moved to the right. Hey, it's a kind of a moving the goalposts to the right thing. And it's very much what's going on here in America here on January 27th, 2011, where America is suffering a terrible case of winger creep. The goalposts keep getting moved. You see what's happening? Things are getting and have gotten for many years now moved steadily to the right. It's called winger creep. Can you say winger creep? I guess not. I must have probed you a little too deeply. I'm sorry. I got carried away. Hey, we've all got winger creep in the USA. At least, we've all got winger creep because of the ubiquity of the corporate media. May God have mercy on our souls. The corporate media in the U.S. is way over on the right. It's corporate, okay? It's corporate. It's on the right. And our government, there's no two ways about it, is winged out. It's like winger creep crept out, okay? And so what this causes is a constant redefining of the political center rightward. It gets redefined, you see, so that, for example, the center moves to the right, so things that were once centrist are called leftist, okay? Okay? Write this down if you need to. The center gets redefined to the right, and things that are centrist get redefined as left wing. For example, a desire for universal health care is a majority desire of American citizens, of U.S. citizens. We all yearn for the kind of system that puts the rest of the world ahead of us, right? That puts even Cuba, even tiny little Cuba, under embargo for decades ahead of us. Does it not probe you in a rather deep way, that little communist Cuba, under embargo for decades, a tiny little country, still has a healthcare system a little better than ours. They have universal healthcare. Universal healthcare. And the corporations don't have their foot on their necks. Yeah. But they do on ours. Well, the desire for universal health care is a majority desire, and in my book, that makes it centrist, right?
Right, sir, right! Right, sir, right!
Okay. Hey, play along or I will probe you again. In any case, a desire for universal health care would be probably single payer, right? Single payer insurance. Universal health care like all the other countries have. That's centrist because it's the majority view. But you'll notice that you'll hear on the media and in the halls of our government that it's like a radical idea. It's in Washington, that's like a total radical commie idea. It's called winger creep. And I think you have it. And I think we're going to have to probe you again.
Winger creep, winger creep. You've got a bad case of a winger creep.
This is fun.
And now, Dr. Perry Logan, MD, briefs us on major symptoms of winger creep. Dr. Perry Logan here.
I got the winger creep. You got the winger creep.
I'm sorry, but before we begin the press conference, I, Dr. Perry Logan, MD, I'm going to have to probe you rather intimately. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This is Dr. Perry Logan, MD. And you, my friend, have a terrible case of winger creep. What the hell is winger creep? Well, it is not only epidemic in the United States, it has been officially declared as a pandemic. That's my first note to you. I hope this probe is going over well with you. I hope you're enjoying this probe as much as I am. But winger creep is no joke. Winger creep is a coinage of Perry Logan's, you know, Perry and the coinages. But it's real. Winger creep is real. January 27th, 2011, the political center, which I would assume the political center in any country is where most of the people are. You know, there'd be that curve. Most people. All you have to do is do a real poll. Not a Fox News poll, but a real poll. A secret poll. Let me, Perry Logan, tell you about the secret polls. The polls nobody knows about because, you see, they don't fit the winger creep paradigm. They don't fit the highly rightward-oriented, biased tilt of the corporate media, which is totally wingerized. And it's the corporate media that is giving us winger creep. Hey, I probed you earlier in the show, if memory serves. Yes, I probed you rather intimately in this show because you probably, if you're in the U.S. and you're living in this time frame here, you probably have winger creep. It's pandemic. I'll give you a moment to look up the word pandemic. It's like worse than an epidemic. It's pandemic. We all have it. I've got it. You've got it. We've got it. You can see it everywhere. And the results of your tests from those intimate probes are not surprisingly that we need to probe you some more. I hope you enjoyed your last probe because this one is going to be even more fun. Yes, Well, you see, the results of your probe show that, for example, progressives in the U.S. have become severely emasculated on the whole subject of gun control. It's just sad. It's just creepy and sad. Progressives have become just etiolated. May I say etiolated? And weakened and wimped out and, castrated, and just go for some synonyms there. Just put in your own synonyms. But if you talk to progressives and lefties in the U.S. about gun control, ain't none of them sound like the real deal to me. Hey, progs, after the Arizona catastrophe, the Arizona tragedy, where a crazy guy opened fire on a Democrat, on a whole bunch of people. After that, we should have called for a big crackdown on guns and gun ownership. But instead, we were talking about civility. That's winger creep. Boo! Winger creep. You see, it was easier to talk about civility and change the seating at the State of the Union address and do a lot of things that were symbolic that didn't change the problem. The problem being too damn many guns. That's what real progressives would say. But due to winger creep, i.e. the constant redefining of the political center to the right, so that centrist ideas are spoken of as being leftist, you see? Yeah. That's what's going on in the U.S. today. That's why I have to probe you some more. Get out your Psychology of the Right notebooks. I'll wait. Uncle Perry is waiting while you get out your notebooks on the Psychology of the Right. Among the many wonderful things this show offers you is notes on the psychology of the right. And one note, this is just an observation about my brethren on the right wing. Huh? Okay. Other than that, a little healthy ridicule is the note that right-wingers tend to define themselves as the majority, even though they're a creepy minority. It's part of that winger creep thing. Okay, winger creep is not to be mistaken for any creepiness of the right. But as they get farther to the right, you see, they just get crazier. And they do define themselves, in other words, as the center. This might just be human nature. But the right are especially, like we are the majority. The majority of people are like total wingnuts. And the truth is they're a minority. They stick by polls. There's a poll that goes around. It says people identify themselves as conservative much more than as liberals. And that is like any child can tell you. You hear liberals badmouth 24/7 here in the U.S. Nobody in his right mind wants to call himself that because, why, we get badmouthed constantly. It's like living neck deep in sewage.
I would like to thank my right-wing cousins for forcing most Americans to live neck deep in sewage.
But when you get to those little secret polls I averred to, university polls, real polls, scientific polls on specific issues, hey, we are so progressive, it's like out of sight. Hey,
we are so progressive, it's like a dynamite. Check it out. Dynamite. Those are the soothing sounds of Perry Logan's neurons with a little ballad called Winger Creep. One of the best ways to recover from winger creep is to minimize your intake of the corporate news. Not the movies and the TV shows so much as the news, which is hopelessly wingified, hopelessly lunar, right, hopelessly corporate, and it will bring you down. It's the right-wing version of things, and it will bring you down, just as surely as the bad vibes of right-wingers will bring you down. But you see, now our Democratic leaders are right-wingers. How's that for creepy? But Homeland Security has requested that you leave the Interbristle area immediately. Goodbye. Goodbye. Don't let those wingers creep you. Eschew the news. Eschew the corporate news.